this is Andrew from the high desert of New Mexico. Actually, we're just waiting for the sunset here, and then you'll start to see the crescent moon pop in. So just hang on for a few more minutes. I think we're looking at sunset in about 15 more minutes. And once we have sunset, we'll be able to pull in that crescent moon for you guys. Stay tuned. By the way, the big screen you see above the words crescent moon, that's where you'll see the view of the moon. On the lower right hand corner is my camera control. It's a Canon 80D, and at the top that's my nest view, so to speak, of the telescope. So hang in there, we're gonna get that pulled in here in just a moment. Hey everyone, this is Andrew Santangelo from the high desert. We're just waiting for the sun to set to catch this very thin crescent moon that should be popping up. It's still pretty washed out. You'll see me pop in and out in the upper right hand corner at me working on the telescope and fine-tuning things before here sunset. You're actually looking at the Meade LX850 with the 14-inch f8 ACF, but for tonight's imaging and view I'm going to be using the 80mm the Meade Series 6000 80mm ED APO hooked up to the Canon 80D, and everything's being controlled through a Eagle 2 computer from PrimaLuce. That's wirelessly hooked up here to my office and going to you throughout the world. So just stay tuned. We will have the view on the crescent here pretty quick here. It looks like there's no clouds in that little part of the sky, and it's just a bit bright out, and it is a thin crescent moon. So let's cross our fingers that a puff of cloud or whatever on the horizon does not go through it. So just hang in there. I think we're about 9-10 minutes away from the sun setting, and then things may become more apparent. So just hang in there. And actually in a little bit I'll be taking off the covers off the rest of the telescope. And again, if you have any questions, feel free to message me in the live chat and I will try and answer here verbally. And if there's any problems with the connection, the signal or anything, also go ahead and message me too.
Children's
All right, everyone, as you can see on the right third, kind of above the middle, is that thin crescent moon. As the sun sets and it gets darker out, you'll see more details of the moon. I'll zoom in on it. This is a nice thin crescent moon, just a few hours old. And you'll also notice we are actually on the flight path for a lot of jets. So you will see some contrails of jets flying by from in front of or by the moon. So we'll probably get some pretty cool video shots or images of this. And by the way, for the curious, the moon is going to be setting here, at least below 7.6 degrees, which means probably behind the buildings. Will be about 6:20 in the evening. And the apparent size right now is, or at least the illumination is 3.1%. So not very much of it is illuminated. This moon, by the way, is only 1.7 days old. So actually, it's more than a few hours. It's, well, I guess still the hours, but we're looking at probably about 36 hours old is what you're looking at right here. Let me go ahead and let me see if we can zoom in and see if we get a little better quality. There's still twilight out that really kind of mixes with the signal or the quality of the view there, but it'll pull more into view as we get closer to the sun completely going. At least it'll get a little dimmer out. And for the curious, the Canon 80D is right now hooked up to a Primaluce Labs Eagle 2 computer, and I'll show you that screenshot in a little bit here. I'm going to take a quick little picture here. It may still be overexposed, but I'm going to take a picture of it anyways. And again, if you have any questions or anything, feel free to message me. I'll try and answer. Also, if you're not already, if you could go ahead and subscribe to my YouTube channel. I'm in a push to get 1,000 subscribers by February the 19th. YouTube is putting that on me. So if you could pass the word out, and if you're here, sign up and subscribe to my channel, that would be fantastic. Now, the one thing that's a little different, usually in this view here, I'm experimenting with this new equipment here, and usually when I have my Canon hooked up to my Mac, I get a very good video quality from my Mac and then to the internet. And unfortunately tonight I'm noticing the computer I'm using, it's a Windows-based machine. It's a little more grainy looking. It's not as elegant as it is on the Macintosh, which is unfortunate for you guys. And of course now, when I get the final pictures, they look all nice and smooth and perfect. But the live view, it looks like from the Windows machine, is not as elegant as it could be, which is unfortunate. And as the sun goes down, our view of the moon will get better. Now I can increase the exposure. Let's go make it brighter. But you see, it makes the moon brighter, but it also makes the sky brighter. So I'm trying to get this happy median right now as the moon comes into view, hopefully. And I'm going to step out and see if I can get a couple of... I'm taking pictures here, but I don't want to block your guys' view of what the moon looks like. So I'm going to leave this live feed here, and I'm going to try and take some pictures there without messing up with your guys' screen or view of the moon here. And by the way, as this comes more into view, you'll see, well, I wouldn't say you won't see much of the craters or anything, but you'll see a little bit more details, and it'll be a little more contrast to the view. And I am going to try and do an image of doing the whole dark side of the moon there too. Actually, I'm going to play with one thing here. Bear with me. Let's see. Hmm. Right now, controlling the computer, the Eagle 2, from my office here actually. So I'm actually controlling the camera and everything. So the camera's hooked up to the Eagle 2 computer, and it's wirelessly hooked up to my computer in the office, and it is wirelessly hooking to you guys, communicating to you guys out on the World Wide Web. And you can see and I'm messing with the screen here, so bear with me, folks. Yeah, you can see even it's still pretty washed out right now because of, well, it is still quite a bit of light outside. And it looks like a little bit of cloud cover is going in front of the moon too. There could be even contrails from jets, who knows. And let's go back to that live view. And you can see it's getting dark quicker, a little bit quicker now. We're seeing more contrast in the view because the sun is definitely setting. Alright, I'll be back in a few moments. I'm going to get a couple more quick pictures, folks, of the moon on the camera, and I'll post those later on. Anyways, come in. If you have any questions, just enter them in the comments, the chat area. everyone. This is Andrew coming from the high desert of New Mexico, and we're looking at the crescent moon. It's about, I want to say it's now about 36 hours old, and this is a live shot of that crescent moon, and you're seeing this coming through that 80 millimeter telescope I showed you guys earlier. Let me lighten up the screen a little bit. It's definitely getting dark enough out where I'll be able to soon image the dark side of the moon. I'm also pretty convinced pretty soon we'll be able to see this landing on top of some home in the view. So that'll make for interesting. Waiting to see if another jet can come through the view too. Let's see if we can get that dark side there. And I'll be back in a moment. You're going to see me in the upper right-hand corner go out to the telescope. I'm going to play around with it for a little bit and take some pictures with the big telescope. But definitely enjoy the view. And I'll be right back here in a little bit to chat some more. And again, if you have any questions whatsoever, come on, leave me a message in the chat area and I'll try and respond to that. So enjoy the view. I'm going to be playing around with it here more and hopefully get some dark side of the moon shots coming up. Hello everyone, this is Andrew Santangelo from the high desert of New Mexico. How's everyone doing here? As you can see on the left 2/3 of the screen, that is a 36-hour-old moon, crescent moon, that we're taking pictures of, and this is also a live feed. And our adjusted exposure, if you look carefully on your screen, you can begin to see the dark side of the moon. And I'm going to play around with that exposure here in a few moments, so you can see even more of that moon. That makes for a pretty cool effect. And actually, if you notice on the screen, there is some hue redness in the sky. That is actually from some high-level clouds getting a little bit illuminated from the sun that has just set. On the upper right-hand corner of the screen, you can see the telescope operation running, pointing in the direction. Pretty soon, that telescope's going to be fairly level, and that's because it's following the moon, and it's going to be setting here pretty soon. let's say in the next half hour or so is what we're looking at for the moon set here. In the meantime, you'll see that red cloud move. That shouldn't be a problem. And also, we're getting low enough in the horizon that you may see a jet or two that's flying through the area or getting ready to land go right in front of the view. And that's a pretty cool thing to look at. So it's not a UFO, it's not an alien or anything like that. And actually, it's going to probably be below our telescope view in about 20 minutes, at which time I'll probably break for dinner. And if you have any questions or anything along the way, just feel free to ask in the message area if you'd like. And that cloud is definitely moving right there in front of it, the moon. We're getting some really cool pictures tonight, by the way. Some really cool pictures. This is Andrew Santangelo again, coming to you from the high desert of New Mexico. You may notice on the upper right-hand corner the view of the telescope. It was initially, or a little bit ago, in nice full color. Now it is in black and white. That is because it's gotten dark enough out where the camera is now in infrared mode to look at the... It's a security camera, so it keeps an eye on all the equipment, including the telescope and everything. It is, so it provides actually a great nighttime view when I'm controlling the telescope from my office here. On the right-hand, or left-hand side, you can see the moon, and the dark side of the moon is beginning to show up quite a bit more now. You can actually see it being illuminated. That red hue you see on the screen is some high-level clouds passing in front of the moon, being slightly illuminated by the setting sun. The sun has already set, but it's still high enough where it's getting some of the red and a little bit of the light that's squeaking through past the sunset. So soon that will just turn all grayish. If there's any clouds left, and the moon will light up those clouds, and that could be kind of interesting too. So yes, you're not seeing the crescent moon, you are seeing the dark side of the moon in your other view that you have there. astronomy tonight, and everyone out there. This is Andrew Santangelo coming to you live from the high desert of New Mexico. This is a live shot of the crescent moon. You see me taking pictures of it, and I'll be sharing those on the net, Instagram, and all that good stuff soon. So this is, and by the way, if you notice carefully, we're getting close. We're getting close to getting to the top of the buildings, and that means, well, guess what? We're not going to see any more of the crescent moon here soon. So, and right, oh, that was a jet airplane we just got going in front. How about that? I'll have to share that one with the with everyone. How about that? There it goes. Yeah, where the moon is setting, it's right now close to the path of several aircraft. It's getting low to the horizon. It should be setting in about, at least, I shouldn't say set, it's going to set in about 10, 15 more minutes, but it's going to get to a point where I think it's going to get behind some buildings, and I won't be able to image anymore. So, though, this is pretty cool. The dark side of the moon. Getting some quick pictures here of different views so I can post them on the internet. So you see me remotely control the camera from my office. Let's go back to that. You know what? That's kind of cool, but I already did those close-up pictures with the big telescope that you see up in the upper right-hand corner. And so I'm going to, oops, that may be too long of exposure. So what you're seeing here is, oops, I didn't want to do that. I hit the wrong button, folks. Oh boy. See, I'm trying to fit everything in a tiny little screen. So I'll bring that right back up. There we go. Trying to fit everything in a tiny little screen. Now it may look like that moon looks a little blurry, and it does because it is moving, and that causes a blur, especially when I'm doing a long exposure photo. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the ISO, and it won't look as blurry. So I'm going to make it brighter, so I can do an exposure pretty quick here. Yeah, that's what I was thinking of there. I can really crank that up. So I can do a 1/4 second, and that'll give me a sharper looking moon. Let's go up to 64. Let's see how that looks. Of course, it gets to be a little grainy then at that point, but I can really punch it up. About 1/30th of a second is what I can work with to get something really sharp. So let's go back down to, let's go here, ISO 800. And you're seeing live pictures of the moon here, the crescent moon. It's actually about 37 hours old. And let's go ahead and let's look at those dark side of the moon look. That's cooler. Let's do that. And who knows, we may get another airplane right through the view. So there's the moon. Let's go back to our live view. That is a live view of the moon right there. And I did it again. I got to change where my buttons are. For controlling it, so you guys can get a great view of everything, but I can still control things. It's tough sharing this screen compared to going directly from my Mac, but the nice thing about this is that the computer and everything is all right there with the telescope, which makes control a lot easier. Let's see what that view looks like. Yeah. are getting close to moonset. And that live view you see there is actually a live view of the dark side of the moon. Let's see if I can change that a little bit there. And it's about as far as I can push that up. But that's the live view showing the crescent moon and the dark side of the moon. On the upper right hand corner you see is the telescope that's pointing at two telescopes actually. The white one is the Meade 6000 80mm ED APO, and that's giving the live feed that you see there. I have the other Canon camera hooked up to the 14-inch f8 ACF, and I'll be posting those pictures later on for everyone. So unfortunately I don't have all the cables to control both cameras, and to be honest, the live view, you get a lot more of a broader view from the 80mm, because you can see aircraft and everything go in front of it. That's pretty cool. Oh. Will we get another airplane going in front of us right before the moon sets? Now, at this point, the moon is just about 7 degrees above the horizon. And what that means is, well, for most locations, it's a very big challenge to look at the moon. But fortunately, very fortunately, the moon, I'm kind of in a flat view from the western horizon. There are some homes and buildings coming up that will impact the view, and so eventually you'll see that in our view here. But oh, looks like another plane's coming in. Let's see if we can get that. Yep, there is the plane zooming across the view. And the last plane that went through, it was pretty low, so you could see the contrails. It definitely taking a chunk of the screen. This one is really booking in front of the lens, so it's probably high altitude and really moving along there. But we will see a few planes in the view because it's getting pretty low on the horizon, and it's definitely on the flight path for the aircraft. So that makes things pretty cool. So I'm going to keep imaging here and stand there until the moon sets. And then once that moon sets, it's time for me to have dinner out here in the high desert of New Mexico. And for those curious, outside it is right now 47 degrees going down to 27. So it's not too uncomfortable actually going outside. Now when that sun was out and towards sunset, it felt really comfortable. But now I'm definitely can tell the temperature change kicking in. Let's see here. See if we can catch another airplane here. That'd be cool if we can do that. There we go. There's the live view that you see right there, the crescent moon. And actually, I'm going to be controlling the position of this now. I'm going to take one more quick picture of the moon with the big telescope, and then I'm going to more center this picture here. So stay tuned. I'll be right back, folks. You'll see me outside. this is Andrew Santangelo coming to you live from the high desert of New Mexico. This is we have a crescent moon that's about ready to set. If you look at the right 2/3, let me actually switch over to the live view. We have the live view of the crescent moon, and on the upper right hand corner is the telescope, the view of the telescope, and you can see it's getting close to being horizontal with the horizon. That means the moon is about to set. And what I'm going to do here soon is I'm going to center the moon more on the screen because it's about ready to go in front of some buildings and what have you. Next, I'm going to go and level up the camera here in a second. So just hang on there. I'm going to fill the camera. You'll see some things move, but enjoy the view. It's going to be pretty cool. This is Andrew Santangelo coming to you live from the high desert, New Mexico. We're getting very close to moonset right now. You probably noticed I was adjusting the camera. I wanted to level up so it's somewhat even with the homes as we see the view of the moonset. And yes, this live view, if you look carefully, you can see the dark side of the moon in this live view. And actually, let's take a look here. This view you see here is just what I just took and overexposing. Now, the moon does look a little blurry, and that's because it's moving. And so when you take a long exposure like that, but I'm going to shorten up the exposure and increase the ISO so it takes out some of the blur. You can see it'll get brighter. Actually pick up a little star there, little clouds, a little bit of haze. But it makes things a little sharper now. But of course it makes it grainier, but then the power of Lightroom. So that makes it kind of fun. Adobe Lightroom, I should say. So I'm whisking off a couple of quick photos here. And we do have a little bit of high clouds around the horizon that it's going through right now. So that's not surprising. Also, we've had a few aircraft fly in front of the moon. Hopefully get one more view of that. That'll be cool. Let's see here. Bring down that ISO setting so it's It's going to be a little blurry, but a little smoother there. And why is it blurry? Because yes, the telescope is tracking with the moon, but the telescope's moving more with the stars, not with the moon. So the moon moves at a slightly different speed. And that's why you see what you see. And here we go. Here is the live view of the crescent moon again. Let's lighten that up so you can see the dark side of the moon. And pretty soon we'll start seeing some power lines and what have you. And tops of homes and chimneys and things like that as we get close to the moon set here. And it's interesting, with this live feed, the sensor is sensitive enough with the setting I have to see the dark side of the moon. You can just make it out. Now, of course, when I take the picture, you can definitely make it out. So I'm going to go ahead and center that just a little bit. I'm going to move it up and center it. So that's me controlling the telescope from in my office using my iPad and Sky Safari. And that's talking to Stella, which is a Wi-Fi unit that's hooked up to the Meade LX850. There we go. Make the moon look a little bit high as we begin to approach some of the buildings on the top of it. We are definitely getting close to moon set. Actually, it says we're at the moon set level of 7.6 degrees, but we've got a kind of a good western horizon. I think we can go down to just a couple of degrees before we have a problem here. And for the curious, this moon is right now running about 1.7 days old. So it's still, so that's what, actually about 40 hours old right now. And if you haven't already, go ahead and join my YouTube channel. Subscribe to my YouTube channel, SpaceTraveler X, and that'd be greatly, greatly appreciated. And by the way, our next full moon, which I'll be broadcasting, is on January the 31st, which also happens to be the date of the next lunar eclipse, which I'll also be broadcasting for, because we will be able to see the start of the eclipse and through totality, and probably end of totality right as the moon is setting. So yes, I'll be up late and then all the way till sunrise. So be ready for that. So my guess is it's trying to say the moon set is going to be, if I'm going to guesstimate it at, it's going to be about another 10 more minutes. It actually put it at 6:17, but that was at 7.6 degrees above the horizon. And I got a pretty good horizon, even though I got some homes blocking the view at the lower end, but who really takes pictures at the horizon level anyways, right? And as that moon's going down. And again, if you have any questions or anything, just put it in the chat area, and I'll try and answer your question. Let's go ahead and enjoy this view as we're approaching the end. By the way, the music you're hearing is, or had heard, is from the Meow Wolf Museum up in Santa Fe. I'm bringing that all in from their SoundCloud feed. So if you're wondering what is that sound, that is the music of Meow Wolf.
Do you know that I still
6:51, and 6:51 out, and the moon is gone. It has set. I think I'm catching a sliver of it through the trees, the very tippy end of the dark side. But otherwise, the moon has set. And that means we are at the end of our broadcast for this evening. I want to thank everyone from coming on out and enjoying things. I'm going to actually move the telescope up because I'm going to have dinner. And if I left the telescope, if you look in the upper right hand corner, if I leave the telescope where it is, that means, well, it will, the telescope will then hit the ground. So, or it'll point to the ground. I don't want it to point to the ground. So, in the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and move the telescope up and enjoy dinner, and then we'll take some pictures here. But you can see the telescope was horizontal, and that means we're done looking at the sky for the evening. So, again, thank you everyone for joining me, and I'll be posting later on. So take care, everyone.